Right, so a guy called Tarek had asked me about figure 4 trigger measurements, because he said he's watched several videos and no one ever mentions the measurements for them. Now I wanted to do a video about, just give you some measurements and just tell you it, but it's kind of not like that, if you know what I mean. I'll try and explain it and also give you a couple of examples. So I've got two examples here, which are, these are recommendations of sizes out of 2 old books. Now I'll be honest, this isn't exactly how they recommended making them. I'm going to do that in another video. I'm going to do quite a few different figure 4 variants. I'll see if I'm going to do them all in the same video and show you like the weird ways you used to do them, because there's lots of weird different ways. They're not just all the same really. And don't worry Tarek, I'm going to give you some measurements in this video, but I'm just going to give you these examples and then say some things first. So these examples, one is by William Carnegie, this one, and this one is by W. Hamilton Gibson. And W. Hamilton Gibson, he wrote the book Camp Life in the Woods and the Tricks of Trapping and Trap Making. William Carnegie wrote several books. One of them was How to Trap and Snare. Now if you look, they're nearly exactly the same size except for the trigger stick on William Carnegie's one. And he'd recommended his be made out of flat wood and slightly different cutouts, which I will get to that in another video. And the funny thing is W. Hamilton Gibson's, his was made out of square wood as well. But as you see, they're both near enough the same size except for the trigger. But both of these traps are actually recommended for completely different animals. This one in W. Hamilton Gibson's book is recommended for rabbits. And in William Carnegie's book, this size is recommended for weasels, stoats and rats. And I expect that size, this size, oh well, of what they're recommending, you could probably add squirrel to that as well. But I'll have a look and we'll use this one I think first. So even, oh yeah, one other thing that W. Hamilton Gibson had said is the same thing. He said there is no size, if you know what I mean, for, you can't just say you make it like this and that's that. But he gave a recommendation for rabbits because I suppose in a survival situation, depending on what animal you're after, you'll have to build your trap according to that. So if you are watching Tarek, hopefully you are, let me know in a comment what animal you was intending to catch, and I'll do another video, see if I can do an exact measurement for that. But I'll give you some like general stuff. So, like this one. So even though it was meant for like rat size animals, we'll have a look, because there's a lot of factors in my opinion. I think you'll set up a trap in one way for a deadfall weight, and using a cage you can set it up a different way. Now I think this trigger would definitely be alright using a cage for say rat, squirrel size animals. I think that would definitely be alright. I've got to hold it in place so I haven't shaved the top, but I hope you can just about see it. I might have to move the camera around, but you've got a good enough clearance for an animal to get under and be right under the trap when he gets there, if you know what I mean, when he gets to the end of here. But I think if this was for a deadfall weight, I was going to say you might need it a little bit higher so you've got more of a strike, but the higher you go with this one, the higher you go, the further it's got to fall and the more likely the animal is to jump out of the way. So it's a little bit of a toss-up, but I think that size would be pretty good for a squirrel. I think it probably has to go higher for a rabbit, maybe, because depending on what size of rabbit, because getting in there, you don't want him knocking the cage, you know, so it comes down before he's in or anything. I suppose you want clearance, so he's in. So I'll tell you the measurements for this one. Don't know if I did, but I'll tell you the measurements for this one, and we'll carry on. So we've got 8 inches for the upright one, and for G. Hamilton Gibson's it's exactly the same. It's 8 inches there. So 8 inches each there. For the slanting one, we've got 7 inches, 7 inches. It's funny, both books, they did 8 and 7 inches exactly the same. Now the trigger stick on this one is 14 inches, and on this one it's 9 inches. So you've got 8, 7, 14, or 8, 7 and 9. Whereas, right, we'll look at this one quickly. I hope this isn't going to get too confusing, because I know what I mean, but it's hard to explain it. So that one is sitting there right. I don't suppose you can really see that, but I can move that to there so you can just about see better. So with this one, if this was in the middle, the animal's going to be much more further to the front when trying to eat the bait. So I think this one might be better for a deadfall rather than a cage trap. Just going to move the camera around a bit so you can see better. Hopefully you can see a bit better now. See that? Like I said, I should have shaved the tops of these flat to keep this in it. But this type of one with a short trigger stick, it means the animal's much more further at the front when it goes off. So you want it so they're further at the back if possible. This one might be better with a deadfall weight, depends. Like, you know, it's kind of all, it's not as simple as just, you know, it's got to be 7 inches, 10 inches, whatever. See this one again quickly. See that? She's much more further in now. But I think for probably a rat, squirrel size animal, I think that would be a good size. And in one of my videos before, that's about the same size I used. So I can always put a quick clip of that on now if you want to see it. So it's roughly about this size. It may have been slightly higher than that, but I think this would do it for that. So for a rabbit, I think using a cage, you'd want to go a bit higher, in my opinion. So you could do that two ways. You could either lengthen your slanting stick there, or you could lengthen the upright stick. So if you lengthened the upright stick, which you probably wouldn't want to do that, look, because then you put your bait up too high. So So you want to lengthen your slanting stick, or maybe what do you think? Maybe another 5 inches. So if you wanted to, you know, slightly bigger animals, you might want to go 14 by 8. Or maybe 12 on that one. But you really want to, in my opinion, if you're going to do that, you want to bring this, cut your slants, cut your slots slightly different, so you've got this bit coming more upright, like that. Right, rather than they're both like this, so they're a bit more upright like that. And then all you do then is you're just cutting your notches in slightly different places. So if you want to know this one exactly, how all the measurements are, so 14 and here to this notch is about 4 inches, and then lay this one on top, mark it with a pen, cut it out, and this one 3.5 inches up there, and then you lay it on and mark it there so you know they fit in right, and then 3.5 again to there, and shave that off like that, and they're shaved. You've got to kind of just do it as it goes, but they're about 1 inch. And then this one, that is about 1 inch there, and about 1 inch slope, and this one is just under 1 inch, and then cut in like that. Hopefully you can see that. But you kind of, you know, just saying measurements, you kind of don't really go like that. Tried to write some info down. So, you know, if you was catching really big animals, or much bigger animals, you're going to have to scale the whole thing up much bigger. And smaller animals, you could go even smaller. But like I said, a cage and a weight are 2 different things, so you may set up the trap in 2 different ways. Also, a really heavy weight on some figure 4s seems to jam them together, so they have to be made right. So if you don't, you just jam in so tight that they don't even come apart when an animal nudges anything. Whereas a cage, because it's a bit lighter, they seem to go off easier. But I think for small game, this size would probably do you alright with a cage, because they're coming up in there. Whereas you might want to go slightly different with a deadfall weight. So what I would ask any of my friends on YouTube who watches the videos, if you've got any ideas for specific sizes, then put them in the comments. So we'll call that one, let's think, horizontal. So that one the horizontal, that one the upright, and that one the slanting stick. So if you've got ideas for your own measurements, what you know, what you've used them for, you know, if you've got a specific size what you use for rabbits or whatever, then write it in the comments. I hope that wasn't all too weird and confusing, because what happens is I think of all these great ideas, I can think of them in my head, but trying to say them is a completely different matter. You know, gets pretty confusing trying to explain things, but you know, if I can, then I will. So yeah, I'll do some more videos on other kind of traps. and sizes and that. And I'm also going to still do the gin trap videos. I've done some more, but because I'd been asked about this one, I thought I'd do this now before I forget. I've done the padding of the jaws video for pigeons, so you can see how they used to do that in the old days. And I've got plenty of other ideas. So, right, cheers for watching, and I'll see you later.